So as I've been going through this series of belief in organizations and whatnot, I kind of noticed something. When some people leave certain organizations, lifestyles, or phases of their life, it's like they all seem to say the same thing. They say the organization changed them. They say the environment made them do what they otherwise would not do. They say the people around them influenced their behavior. And yeah, maybe some of that is true. But it made me start wondering how much of that was the organization and how much of that was you. Bars. This is Society Breakdown. Peace, 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 and blessings. What's good? This is your boy 7 Inglewood Zone right now in your zone. And this is another episode of Society Breakdown, where we do a little bit of analysis into the cultural diaspora. And today is no different. We're still staying within the series on belief and culture and organizations and all that good stuff. And today I want to answer 3 questions that came to mind. How much influence do organizations actually have on people? Where does influence stop and personal responsibility begin? And when people blame organizations for their past, are they explaining their behavior or protecting their new identity? All right, so we know how it goes, right? Organizations can influence people by introducing things like incentives, bargaining, and consequences. You learn how to belong to a group. You learn about hierarchy, authority, respect, honor, merit, expectations, and reputation. You learn about all these things. You get a crash course, if you will, into all of these different concepts when you join certain organizations. But even in that introduction, are they controlling your decisions as much as they are perhaps shaping the way that you make them? Decisions, that is. I don't know. The way I look at it is they are more of an influence on the way that you decide how to do things, when to do things, if you should do things. That I can see that, in many positive and negative ways. So I understand that organizations have that sort of power over us, whether they be religious, military, or political. But that leads me to the next question of where does influence stop and that responsibility begin, right? Because people are shaped by their foundation, their environment, right? The people around them and all that stuff. The foundation being their family, the people they grew up with, the schools they attended. And they're also shaped by their culture. So we know that environment has an impact on the people, and those people can create some sort of pressure, and some of that pressure can help to shape the culture that we ended up growing up in. But even with influence, all the influences that we get at whatever stages of our life, right? Even with all that influence, the influence is what explains the situation, right? It explains whatever's going on, but it doesn't make the decision. So just look at it like, hey, Johnny 123 runs in people's houses and gets arrested because he follows stupid guy 126 online who runs into people's houses and get arrested. So things like that's an influence, but the decision still belonged to Johnny 123. I know that was a goofy way of explaining it, but I'm just saying, like, that's the way I gotta see it. You know what I'm saying? So Johnny 123 might feel some pressure because he hangs around with some people who are also saying, hey, let's run up in people's houses and get arrested. So the pressure for them might explain why it was hard not to do something, but it still doesn't explain why it happened. The environment, maybe Johnny 123 hangs around in an area where other Johnny 123s like to follow a weird guy online whose name I forgot at this point, who also was the main guy who first started it. And the environment that they're in encourages that sort of behavior, right? And so sure, you can have an environment that is whatever it is, good or bad, high or low, medium or soft. However you want to see it. You can have whatever environment. But your character generally determines your behavior. So environment explains behavior, but character determines it, right? So one is talking, the other one's choosing. One is making a choice. Explanation, choosing. That's the difference. And so if the Johnny 1-2-3s out there who decide they want to do these things, they're doing so of their own volition. You know what I'm saying? So with all of that, influence is real, but responsibility does not disappear. You still are the one that's making that choice. I mean, because at some point in all that running around you're doing with all the other Johnny 1-2-3s who want to break into people's houses and get arrested, the decision still belongs to you. You know, we got a saying over here that we like to use, you know, because we're a group, we're a collective, and, you know, we operate as a group. But at day's end, we look at it as, hey, somebody got to control the brain. Somebody has to be the person that's responsible in case chaos or calamity strikes. So in that sort of framing, you are your own collective. And so with that means somebody, you, has to control the brain of the collective, your brain. And so if we convert that Johnny 1-2-3 into somebody who's now Johnny 1-2-3 online in his organization, his Black Greek organization, right? So now he's part of a Black Greek organization. What is that organization influencing you to do? And when Johnny 1-2-3 decides to leave said organization, what story does he tell as he's stepping into this new life? You know, because a lot of times we'll see people going onto their platform du jour or of choice and deciding that, hey, now it's the time for me to control the narrative. Now I have to tell my story. Now I have to let everybody know this is how I've been wronged. I was once this, now I'm this. Link above. And personal responsibility evaded me all this time. But now, I am finally personally responsible for the things I do from here going forward. See, all the things before, my sweet summer child, was only of the agency that I surrendered, you see, to the organization that obviously had the control over me to the point where I did the things that I decided to engage in that leads me to tell this story of triumph over my past. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we see. We're seeing that when they become religious, when they become successful, when they're married, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now, whatever it is, now they have a new identity. They're now the hero. And once you have a new identity, you got to explain why the old version of you no longer exists. And there's two ways that people do that, basically. Now, so for those of y'all who don't know, I used to be a counselor, right? And in my counseling, we used to have these things that we used to introduce these things called I statements. And so when it comes time to explaining the old version of you, that's when, again, you have two choices. And one is to use things like I statements. I was arrogant. I messed up. I like that shit. I wanted somebody's approval. I was immature. I'm sorry. Because, you know, in using I statements, that keeps the responsibility for whatever that is on the person. On the person is doing the talking. So the person who has made those I statements, now you know they are talking about themselves. Or you have the type of people who like to go the other route. And they're the ones who say things like, the environment was toxic. The influencers around me were bad. I was influenced. In all of that, it's moving the responsibility for whatever the thing is to the environment, to the things and the people around you, not you. And there's a big difference in that. There's a big difference in how you state that when you are talking to and about the things that you refer to when revisiting your past. And I think that's true for, you know, military organizations, political organizations, racist organizations, pro-ethnic organizations, any of that. Like, whatever it is that you think that you needed to leave to now step into a new version of yourself with, to the point where you need to step on somebody's platform and project it to the world. So I'm speaking to and about a very significant set of people, because I'm saying at day's end, you have these two paths to take. Because if the organization made you do it, then you didn't choose it. And if you didn't choose it, you're not responsible. And whoa, isn't that wonderful to have that load off your back, to know that you're not responsible for the things that you did and caused as a part of your organization, whatever that organization is or was? So sometimes blaming an organization ain't really about people explaining their behavior for real. It's about removing responsibility from your past self so that your new self looks clean. I was lost, but now I'm found. I used to live in darkness, but now I am in the marvelous light. And speaking of lights, real quick, any of these people who are getting upset at alphas talking about they are the light of the world, as if that somehow means Jesus ain't ish, or whoever other's deity ain't ish. Please, let's have a talk in the comment sense section. I'm sorry. Let's have a talk in the comments section. Because it ain't always common sense in the comment section. But moving on. And I said this before in last week's episode. Every story is basically the same, right? You have a hero, you have a villain, you have some sort of turning point, and then you have life anew. And sometimes in those spaces when people are changing their life, their previous organization becomes the villain in their narrative, which by default makes them the hero, even if a little h, but still the hero in their story. Because at day's end, I would wager that a lot of these people have a version of main character syndrome, just a soupçon, but I think a lot of them have main character syndrome, and they want to get the attention of doing something that goes against the norm, that goes against what the going thing is. Hey, everyone thinks this thing is positive. I think it ain't ish. Hey, y'all think this person was dope? I think he was a blah blah blah. Like, I mean, look at who is that? Who is that failing comedian? Oh, Simone B. Simone, who for whatever reason decided to step onto Bibi Netanyahu's internet and say that Dr. King wasn't great because of the other things that happened in his past, or part of his life that, that wasn't necessarily celebrated. And and you can take that or you can go with it however you decide, but it's weird when you're like, well, who are you? And why do you think that you are the person necessary to give this message? And I guess with that, we all have a little bit of self-importance, leading to my point of we all have a little bit of main character syndrome. So if I leave my organization, I'm not leaving my organization. I will not leave my organization. But if I leave my organization, then I guess you be on the lookout for your boy Seven talking about how he is now a follower of the spaghetti monster, the great and wonderful spaghetti monster, and how it was because of his previous fraternity that he did all those evil things like read to children and donate to scholarship funds and clean up roads and communities. And so sometimes the organizations don't change as much as the people in them change the organization, or flat out the story that the people are telling changes. And that doesn't matter whether you're, again, if it's a political group, fraternity, sorority, religion, whatever it is. A lot of people want to make whatever that thing is or was their past. Like, for example, I'm somebody who's not religious, right? I don't believe in none of that stuff, right? But I grew up in the Church of God in Christ. Grew up, born and raised, Church of God in Christ, my side of town in Chicago, South Side, let's go. And, we were pretty religious with how we went. I mean, we went every Sunday and, multiple times during the week, summer convocations, summer conventions. We did all of that stuff, you know. And then for me for myself, as I got on my own, I got into all of that stuff on my own and whatever, right? Then when I decided to, you know, then the more I learned, the more I decided, all right, let me get up out of here. I ain't trying to do this thing, right? And I would be online talking crap to people and trying to attack people who were still within the belief system and saying, you don't know. And like, I would be going at people like that. And I know that was because I was looking for attention. Like, I have enough wherewithal to know that that's why I did those things. I did that. And I'll be public to say, hey, to all those people who I may have offended, your boy 7 is sorry. I ain't mean to come at any of y'all like that. I was seeking attention for like, hey, look at me. I'm different. I'm going against the current. I'm going against the tide. I'm the black sheep in your white fold. You know, so that's what I was trying to be. And I mean, but on top of that, I still didn't believe stuff. But I'm just saying, I know that. So I'm not, all that to say, your boy 7 ain't talking out his ass. I know a little bit of this, right? I know a little bit of this personally. But getting back on topic, right? We know that influence comes in myriad forms, right? We get it from organizations we're a part of, the environments that we're in, again, you know, people, places, and things around us. The pressure that we get from some of those people within those environments, we get it from our culture, and hell, we get it from our friends, right? All of that is absolutely true. We get influence from myriad directions and myriad forms and levels of pressure, right? We get all sorts of influence, right? But at day's end, I'm of the belief, and maybe y'all can let me know. Maybe you can tell your boy 7 where he's wrong, and we can talk it out in the comment sense section. But let me know when you are not responsible as an adult. Let me know when you as an adult are not responsible for your decisions at day's end. So when you look back at your life, right, and you try to revisit what changed you, the real question might not be what organization you were in. The real question might be, at what point did you allow the organization to take responsibility and control over your life? But that's what we're going to leave this one today, y'all. Y'all let me know what you think about this one down in those comments below. Make sure you hit the like, the share, and all that good hamana. And if you have any other items that you want your boy 7 to break down, please send it to send it to your boy 7 at societybreaksdown@gmail.com. Can you believe somebody already got Society Breakdown as a Gmail? It kind of upset me. Anyway, societybreaksdown@gmail.com. I'm sure I'll put it down in the thing. But until next time, y'all make sure you take care of each other, and please take care of each other until next time, but live dangerously while you do. Peace. And I'm out.